Welcome to P Passionate W World, R Radio N Network, LLC, a multimedia company. Ann Arbor, Michigan, Boston, Massachusetts, Liverpool, England, Melrose, Florida, Los Angeles, California, Fullerton, California, Washington, D.C., Chicago, Illinois are one of the many broadcast homes of PWRN, a multimedia company. The world in your hands. And now, without further ado, let me present to you one of our many hosts and their programs.
Well, good evening, one and all. This has been quite the week. That's what I said last week, too. And, before I get too involved with my show tonight, which is basically it's about the transformation of a lovely dog who needed my help some years ago, but it really lays out a good way of working with an animal who needs your help. But before I get into that, I just want to say, everyone who's listening, please, please, please send prayers for the people and the animals living out in California with those fires. It's horrific, and I've got so many friends there who are losing their homes, and it's a heartbreak. And it's been a challenging time. I mean, what I really wish is instead of there being airplanes going over to Korea, that those airplanes would turn around and go ahead and dump water and chemical, retardants for the fires. Let's save some people. Let's save some animals. Let's save this country. Help the people in Puerto Rico. There's so much places where help is needed. And, I'm still getting over a little bit of hurricane PTSD over here in Florida. Every time we have a big rainfall, I get a little nervous. So, it's a time for all of us to be very grateful and really think about those of us who are going through hard times. And you want to be real grateful that you're not one of them. So anyway, moving to this interesting story called The Transformation for Rosie. Today was the day that my friend Ann brought her dog Rosie to my gazebo treatment center here at Moonhaven. I've been looking forward to being able to work with both of them because I knew that I could really help them resolve some issues. Rosie had been having some behavior problems with aggression towards some dogs, as well as some anxiety issues. And because of her potential bad behavior with other dogs, I kept my pup Happy closed in the house just in case. Happy right now is feeling a little bit like she wants to run around. But anyway, Happy thought that she should be able to get around at the time. But it all worked out. I lugged my overstuffed bag full of some 90 flower essences, as well as another carrier with gem elixirs and essential oil mixes, into the screened gazebo behind my house. And I urged Ann and Rosie to go around back to meet me there. Rosie was such a lovely little dog, part Norwich Terrier and I believe Sheltie. Hard to believe that she would be rough with anything, but I know better than to let looks deceive me. Still, I could tell that there was a really sweet and loving dog inside, whose only crime was being brought into an earlier family where abuse was the norm. As Anne, Rosie, and I settled into our space in the gazebo, I could see that Rosie was displaying some agitation and fear. This would not be too unusual for an animal coming into a new place where there are new smells and the occasional gusty winds. I pulled 9 boxes of Green Hope Farms flower essences from my bag and welcomed Rosie with strokes and soothing words. I was trying to get a little feel of her energy before I started using my pendulum to decipher which of these essences would help Rosie the most at this time. She wriggled and wiggled as we attempted to keep her nearby for the process. Fortunately, the first essence that she received was Arbor Garden, which was perfect to get her calm in general and would also help us move forward in her treatment more easily. Arbor Garden would be a great overall remedy for Rosie, as it helps animals and people feel like they are being held by angels. What could be better than that? So as I tune in a little bit deeper, I can feel that Rosie never felt like there was any place safe and anyone who would protect her. Yes, these essences would be just the thing to reach in and soothe that wounded place. I've worked with these essences for some 25 years, and it seems to me that they find those emotional, spiritual holes and wounds and fill them up, which is just what one needs. The next essence, Carry Less, says it all. Often, when a person or animal receives this one, they are carrying the emotional burden for the whole family or pack. And they are the ones that feel like it's all up to them to keep their world and the world of their close ones on track. Anne assured me that this really fit in with Rosie's temperament, that she was very emotional and a bit of a caretaker. This one feels like she will only need this one treatment to release that load, which is good. Sometimes it takes more. But by this time, you could see that something was starting to change for Rosie. Violet Transmuting Flame Violet offered itself to help Rosie release any toxic energies, substances, words, and thought forms from her system. I felt that she had been berated verbally and emotionally by her former owners, and this was weighing her down as well. You could just feel those layers of trauma slowly slough away. I was quite taken aback by the next essence, which was Transition, which usually is given to beings that are living this world, but not exclusively living in this world. I guess that Rosie was going to totally relinquish her past life that had been so painful. And I don't mean her past other lives, but that could also be in there as well. The past life in this life had been so painful. So many times this aggressive behavior is about fear and keeping a tough exterior, as it is for Rosie. I'm willing to bet that as she takes the essences as a routine, this behavior will disappear entirely. Sometimes one needs to treat an overly macho animal where it is just about the testosterone, and for that, I use anthurium flower essence, which balances and mellows that energy. For fear, she will use Animal Emergency if she's showing fear. And you can tell that there's a fear response usually in the eyes. The eyes kind of bug out a little bit. And that can be used as needed and before going into situations that typically evoke fear, as well as the daily dose of arbor to lay a good foundation of peacefulness. Now, my gem elixir, which is golden armor, is also really good for fear. The last essence that she would need was no surprise. Not at all. Abandonment and abuse, which is a combination that should be given to any animal who has had that experience. Bottom line, if you have rescued any animal, you would help it immensely by giving it this essence. After that, any training will go easier because you will have removed the major cause for resistance. I can't say that often enough. It's just so important. Now, around this time, my mare China Moon wandered over to the gazebo. Now, according to Anne, Rosie is typically terrified of horses, and here she was but a foot or two away, separated only by some screening. She was a little nervous at first and quickly became curious and even fascinated. She wanted to go right outside and play with China and even tried to escape through the cat door to do so. Fortunately, Anne caught Rosie when it became clear that she would need to stay inside, and then she grew bored with her new potential four-legged friend. When Rosie collapsed happily into Anne's lap, content to stay that way forever, Anne was absolutely dumbfounded and delighted. We sat there with the wind whipping around the gazebo, smiling ear to ear, knowing that Rosie had really used that transition essence to totally let go of her painful past. She really was like a new dog. That was so wonderful. And let me take a very quick break, and I'll be right back with the end of Rosie's wonderful rehab.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Robertson, host of TV Confidential. Thank you so much for listening to our program on PWRN, Passionate World Radio Network. If you like TV Confidential or any of the other programs you hear every week on PWRN, please consider supporting this station by becoming a patron of Passionate World Radio Network through Patreon. It is easy to do. It won't cost you more than a few dollars per month. And best of all, you will help PWRN continue to educate, enlighten, and entertain our global audience of 10 million strong and growing. For more information, go to patreon.com/PWRN. That's Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/PWRN. And thank you again for listening.
Okay, this is Flash-Silvermoon again, back with you with what the animals tell me. And we're finishing up the story of Anne and Rosie and Rosie's rehab. So Anne will also need to release the old memories of Rosie's troubling behaviors so that she does not inadvertently send that expectation right back to the dog's psyche. And this is really key. If Anne gets too tense around past potential problems, she can evoke exactly what she does not want to continue. I'm thinking that it would also be good for her to take some of the Arbor Garden essences to help her relax, because it's really hard when you learn to be vigilant to avoid negative situations to suddenly stop anticipating those. But it's ultimately essential for both Anne and Rosie to come to this point together. Ironically, it's that hypervigilance that got Rosie into this space originally. Knowing these two, though, I know that they will overcome any obstacles, and with the help of these magical essences, it's a done deal. Anne just beamed in amazement and said, "This is the longest that she's ever sat in my lap." Clearly, Rosie wasn't going anywhere. I kept my left hand on Rosie to receive any images and messages that she might want to offer me. And that's one of the ways when I'm working, tuning in to the spirit and to communicate with the animals, I'll usually put my left hand on the animal and just see what comes to me visually, also in my head and in my heart. So I kept my left hand on Rosie, receiving the images and messages that she might want to offer me. The first thing she offered was a view of the child that she had loved from her first home. I could just feel a wistfulness, even though the home had been fraught with violence. She explained to me that she was happy where she was, but missed the child and worried about him, because she was all the little guy had to offset his harsh world. Anne said that Rosie adores children and easily makes friends with any that she meets. Rosie made a very offhanded comment to me that I almost missed when I asked her if she was with Anne before. I like to check this out because it can bring an even deeper connection for both when the past life experience is understood. In some cases, this knowledge can even help heal deep-seated behavior problems, just as it can for humans. Sometimes animals will be so matter-of-fact about things that if you don't pay really close attention, you'll miss an important clue. Plain as day and ever so gently, she stated that she had been Anne's dog, Gus. Anne smiled and agreed that, like Annie, Gus had been a very emotional dog. I imagine now more Gus-isms may be noticed. Sometimes the personality does not stay the same from life to life, but somehow you just know. And there's always some subtle and sometimes an inescapable resemblance to the pet from the past in personality behaviors, favorite spots, fears, affinities for certain family members, and occasionally even the appearance. I had to laugh when Rosie showed me some funny outfits and told me that she loved dressing up. Anne confirmed this and told me about some of her fun outfits and how sassy she would get when dressed. Rosie also showed me Anne dressed as a clown, and it seems like they might even be a team going into hospice, etc., to bring joy to the infirm. This might be a good way for Anne to express her lighter side. Who knows what their future might bring? And it was so heartwarming just to see that instant affirmation and gratification with the two of them. So often, we work so hard to heal or accomplish some project and never know the outcome. With animals, many alternative therapies, and particularly flower essences, gem elixirs, homeopathy, communication, the instant change is more the rule than the exception. For at least 15 minutes, Rosie sat peacefully in Anne's arms as we chatted about the efficacy of the essences and how to administer them at home. I'm really sorry that we didn't have a video of the whole experience because the change was so extreme and would help others see what a blessing these essences could be for their pets and themselves as well. I really did hate to call it a day. It was just well beyond the allotted time for our appointment to end, but I didn't care, as it was so healing to bask in Rosie's newfound serenity. I pulled my bags and essences together and went into the house for the essences that they would take home. I also got Happy and put her on her leash to go outside to meet Rosie. Happy loves everyone and is actually totally shy and submissive with other dogs. So I wasn't worried about her. But we were still not going to take any chances with Rosie, who was basically being pretty friendly. At this point, China Moon, my beautiful Appaloosa mare, came over to supervise their meeting. Clearly, she was picking up on something else. She just was being overly protective of her puppy or of Rosie's process. So, either way, she placed her body between Happy and Rosie, and that, as they say, was that. She had done that one other time when a new dog had come over to meet Happy. The scene was pretty much actually quite touching and a sweet ending to a most positive experience. Rosie was in full bloom. I feel so blessed to be able to be a part of such healing. It really feels so good to be able to help an animal or a person transform from a place of pain to a place of happiness and knowing that life as she knew it was really transforming. Things weren't going to be so painful anymore. And I can't say enough how if you are getting an animal who has been rescued, doing this work is going to just help you 150% to get the kind of behaviors that you do want from them. Because first, you have to pull out the old pain. And the essence that does that the most efficiently of all is the abandonment and abuse. And it doesn't matter if they weren't abused, but any animal that is being rescued has got some abandonment issues, whether it's from a storm or from bad behavior of the owner or whatever it is. That really has to be fixed in order to get good, consistent behavior from your cat or your dog or your horse or any of the animals. I mean, believe it, I've worked with bears and primates and tigers, and what works with one, as I've explained this process, pretty much works with all of them, depending on what they've experienced and what they need. So I really want to encourage those of you who do have animals that are having some issues to give me a call, and I can work certainly right here at my house, but I can also work through the phone and with pictures on the internet and send you the things you need. So it is all doable and incredibly helpful. So let me take another little break, and I'll be right back with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ed Robertson, host of TV Confidential. Thank you so much for listening to our program on PWRN, Passionate World Radio Network. If you like TV Confidential or any of the other programs you hear every week on PWRN, please consider supporting this station by becoming a patron of Passionate World Radio Network through Patreon. It is easy to do. It won't cost you more than a few dollars per month. And best of all, you will help PWRN continue to educate, enlighten, and entertain our global audience of 10 million strong and growing. For more information, go to patreon.com/PWRN. That's Patreon, Patreon, patreon.com/PWRN. And thank you again for listening.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Flash-Silvermoon, and I am back with you. And again, if you do want to reach me for work for yourself or your animals, you can find me at flash-silvermoon.com. That's my website. And you can see all the different offerings right there on that page. And I'd be most happy to work with you. It's not at all difficult to work with people or animals at a distance. Some people can't imagine how that would work, but it does very, very easily. And I've been doing this work. I've been working with people for, good 47 years. And I've been working specifically with animals for about 37 or so years. And it's funny how that evolved, because I was getting tired of having clients come to me and expecting a fortune teller, because sometimes that's how people look at psychics. So I said, okay, Spirit, I've been doing this a long time, and I love my work, but I don't like the position some people put me in when they want to have a little fortune teller instead of a good, experienced psychic. So tell you what, Spirit, bring me a higher vibration in my clientele. And I don't mind if I have to take a pay cut. I don't mind if that's the case. But I want to continue wanting to do my work. And I need to have a better vibration of clientele so that I want to continue doing this. So show me how we're going to do this. And sure enough, what started to happen was Spirit brought me animals. Okay, you want a higher vibration? Here we go. Work with the animals. And I just thought that was funny as could be. That, all right, we're going to give you a higher vibration of client, and they're going to have 4 legs too. And it continued to be better with the humans as well. But it was just funny how that all worked out. And I certainly can't complain. I enjoy working with animals very, very much, and humans. It's all good. It's all good. And as I said, you can reach me at flash-silvermoon.com. I'd be happy to work with you or your critters. And, this is a very challenging time with so many places just in the country where there's horrific events between hurricanes and floods and earthquakes and fires. There's a lot of displaced animals. So I encourage all of you to look out wherever you are. If you need a critter, or to even be able to just have one temporarily, go see where you can be useful. See where you can help and adopt, or even just for a little while adopt some animals, just to make their lives go a little bit easier, because there's just so many places now where help is needed. So if any of you feel like you have the time, energy, and finance to do that, I really encourage you to find a way. Pick a state, pick a country. They're all over the place. Nobody needs to be buying animals. There's so many that are in need. So I just wanted to put out a little plea for the 4-leggeds that are going through such hard times. And there's people that have lost everything. And at least if their animals made it, they feel a lot better. So prayers, prayers, prayers for all the suffering, and let us ease that. Many blessings. See you next week. This is Flash Silvermoon signing off.
Thank you for listening to Passionate World Radio Network, a multimedia company. You can listen to this program all over again at passionateworldradionetwork.com, facebook.com/PWRN, twitter.com/PWRN, googleplus.com/PWRN. Distinguish yourself from the ordinary. And remember, please keep listening.